Mark Waller standing by. Should be a familiar face and a familiar name to microcap investors. Some of you might remember Mark from his time as CFO of Empire, which was listed not too many moons ago, but a while ago now, eventually taken over by Capgemini. But he's here to discuss recent IPO. Can I say recent, Mark? One click.
Yeah, fairly recent. It was back in September last year. So within the last 12 months is recent.
That's recent.
Yeah. Excellent. Thanks, Mark. Thanks for the introduction. I'll just share my screen. I've got a presentation here.
Coming through now, Mark. Yeah, it's coming up now.
Excellent. How's that, Mark?
Right now, Mark, so you can take it away, mate.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thanks very much for having me on, Mark. And yeah, look, as Mark alluded to there, previously CFO of Empire. We actually listed Empire back in 2007 just going into the GFC, which was an interesting time to list a company, but we successfully navigated that and more in the meantime. I'll just flick to this going. Okay. Disclaimer there, you can feel free to read that or take a screenshot and read it later. So jumping into One Click Group, as Mark said, we listed back in September last year. We, at the time, were trying to actually list back in July leading into the tax season. I'll explain why that's important to us shortly. But on the board, we have Russell Baskerville as the non-executive chairman, myself as managing director. Russell and I both worked at Empire from 2005. Both joined as managing director and CFO at a time when the company had 20 staff and about $2 million turnover, listed in 2007, divested some assets, and I left about 6 years ago with 1,000 staff and 160 million turnover. And the business was sold 2 years ago to Capgemini for nearly $250 million, as Mark mentioned previously. When I left Empire, I met Nathan Kerr, who's also on the board. Nathan had an idea about creating a tax product and connecting it directly in with the ATO and allow people to do straight through tax returns straight to the ATO. And my first job out of university back in the late 90s was actually processing small individual tax returns on DOS-based software back then. And we had a couple of conversations and spoke about how we'd actually get that idea up and running and fund that idea and the broader concept of what we could do with the business. We got pretty excited about it. And on the back of that, we set up One Click Group and developed the One Click Life platform. We listed last year, as I mentioned, the shell that we listed into. Winton Wilsey was the chairman of that business, and that's how Winton came onto the board. Excellent corporate governance, strategy, and financial skills from Winton. We have 686 million shares on issue with an 11 mil market cap at the moment. Hopefully that'll improve as time goes on. But essentially, the company has two platforms. So our One Click Life platform is a consumer fintech platform. We have 100,000 users on that platform at the moment. We provide tax returns and mortgages. And effectively, what we want to be able to do with that platform is basically allow people to manage all their financial lives in one spot in a simple, low-cost format from their mobile phone. So the key for us with that particular product is keeping things very simple, allowing everyday Australians to be able to use the platform in a really simple manner to manage all their finances in one place. One Click Verify was actually born out of the One Click Life platform. Within One Click Life, we needed to digitally identify our customers, and One Click Verify is basically the platform that allows people to do that. So we're a gateway services provider connected into the Department of Home Affairs ID Match, and we've basically pulled that into its own platform and are now commercializing that. We're right at the start of the journey of commercializing that particular product, but we have had some pretty good early wins, which is excellent. So just from a financial perspective, where the company is at the moment, we're seeing some really strong growth. 9 months, 10 months now after we listed, we've just been through our first 10 months of being funded with a marketing campaign, which has really excited and generated some huge growth. So we've grown customer or user numbers from 65,000 at the end of December. And I should also mention we were sub 40,000 at the time of actually listing as well, and now grown to over 100,000 users on the platform. That's happened through a multi-channel marketing campaign, mainly focused on digital marketing and a few awareness campaigns outside of that. But I'll go into that in a little bit more depth in a minute. In calendar year 23, we've already surpassed the entire calendar year 22 revenue of 1.6 million. So we've still got that's as of the 12th of July. We've still got 5.5 months there of growth to really show what we can achieve in a 12-month period, being the first 12 months really that we've been listed. We've, as I mentioned, over 100,000 users. When we listed, we had a tax product, and that was literally the only product that we had generating revenue. We now, on the One Click Life platform, also have a mortgages product. We allow next day refunds as part of our tax product. And as I mentioned before, the One Click Verify platform that we spun out of One Click Life. So we're pretty excited about the growth journey at the moment and seeing some really good results coming through from the marketing campaigns and business itself. So I'll jump through One Click Life first to give you an update on what One Click Life is, what it does, and what we're trying to achieve with it. And then I'll go through One Click Verify and wrap up with a little bit about the business and how we operate and why I think we'll be successful. So I mentioned the 100,000 users, obviously. I'm pretty excited about that. So you'll probably hear me say that a few times in this presentation. But look, essentially what we do, right, is the One Click Life platform is connected directly into the ATO. So when people come to us with a need to do a tax return, the first thing they do is sign up. We then identify or digitally verify the person's identity. That then connects into the ATO, and that draws back a significant amount of information about that user. That pre-populates a tax return, so it allows for really easy and simple lodgement of a tax return. The whole process of lodging a tax return can take as little as 2 minutes to 5 minutes. If it's a really complicated return, we're not really interested. We're just doing really the simple stuff, really basic. We're not doing a whole heap of trusts and that sort of stuff. It's really just focused on individuals, this particular product. So we generate a lot of information about that customer, and what that allows us to do is surface and provide additional financial products to that customer then through the journey, right? So for us, acquiring a customer or acquiring a user on the platform, a really simple, nice experience completing a tax return, build our brand equity, and then surface additional products to the customer, such as one-click mortgages and down the track, additional financial services products. So that's basically the aim of what we're trying to achieve. Now, across all of our users, the whole of the 65,000 users that we had on the platform last year, we were able to generate $25 average revenue per user. That's an important number because that's something that we're certainly looking to target as we expand our product offering on the One Click Life platform. Now, our user numbers. So how are we actually growing our user numbers, right? So the key for us and the key age bracket that we're trying to target really is the 25 to 35-year-olds. Now, for us, that's people that have got one job or potentially multiple jobs. They've got potentially multiple super funds, some lost super or unclaimed super. They've either looking to purchase their first home, or they've got an existing home and want to remortgage or check if they can save any money remortgaging. They're going through that life cycle of potentially getting married, having children, requiring a will or an update to their will, et cetera, right? So they're the sort of people that are perfect with our platform. Our average income of people that are on the platform is around the $40,000 to $80,000 mark. So really in that middle Australia, as I said, we're not trying to target the wealthy end of Australia. It is that middle Australia. Although that said, we still have surgeons on there that earn $500,000 a year, CEOs of companies, et cetera, et cetera. So it really does appeal to everyone. And how we're acquiring those customers and generating that growth is through digital marketing means, right? So we have a number of campaigns, acquisition campaigns running on Google, Facebook, Instagram, Microsoft, LinkedIn at any point in time. And we wrap around that awareness campaigns through YouTube. And we've just started to dip our toe into a little bit of TV as well. So our TV campaigns were quite successful through regional Australia. We've trialled Brisbane as a city to see what sort of penetration or additional penetration into Brisbane we get at times when ads run over in Brizzy. And we've also used Warwick Kappa in the adverts this year for our AFL campaigns as well, which you may or may not have seen depending on where you live. So what essentially One Click Life will become is a hub for everyone to manage all their financial affairs in one spot, right? So at the moment, we have our tax and accounting services, which includes simple tax returns and the ability to request a next day refund. We have a lending solution in there, which is One Click Mortgages. And within that, we act as a mortgage broker. So as I mentioned before, we gather a lot of data when we connect into the ATO and complete someone's tax return. What we've been able to do is simplify a mortgage application and allow people to go through about 8 different questions in relation to their financial situation and their mortgage. We then marry that up with all the information that comes in from their tax return. So that what it does is it really saves people having to complete, as you may remember from the last time you applied for a mortgage, it's about a 4 growing to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 page form at the moment with a whole heap of information that you then need to provide behind that. So what we're really trying to do is simplify that process of changing mortgages or taking out a mortgage. So as acting as a mortgage broker, what we see in terms of revenue is an upfront fee and then a 0.15 per annum ongoing fee thereafter, right? Now for us, we're acquiring customers at about a cost of $50 or a user, sorry. We're acquiring users at about a $50 per cost of that user. We charge $99 for a tax return per annum. So if we can increase someone or push someone into sideways into another product like mortgages, where we might get a $3,000 to $3,500 upfront fee, plus another $800 to $900 a year ongoing thereafter, we're significantly improving the lifetime value of that customer and obviously the average revenue per user that we're generating out of the platform. So a pretty important one and quite a quite good, obviously, revenue metrics around that. We also want to bring in down the track Visa cards and then a whole heap of other lending services as we mature around personal loans and car finance as well. We don't want to be a wholesale lender. We do want to broker that finance. Our financial services arm, moving on to that, is something that's in construction at the moment. We currently provide private health insurance and wills through the system, which have been quite popular. What we want to bring in is a full suite of financial services akin to an online financial planner, essentially. So allow people all the tools to manage all their retirement wealth and all the risk around their retirement wealth through our platform in superannuation products, investment products, insurance products, and then obviously the wills product that we already have. So that's what we're trying to build out there. That's in construction at the moment in terms of how we will actually present that and how we'll build it out. But we're having some good success in terms of what we're building there at this point in time. Just want to touch on the target market, right, for our tax product. So a lot of our acquisition and most of our acquisition does come from the requirement for someone to do a tax return on an annual basis. We see our target market as approximately 11.5 million Australians, right? The average revenue we generated from our tax product is $25 last year, as I mentioned. That'll grow this year through add-ons and additional products, such as the next day refund product that I mentioned. But in terms of the actual competitive landscape for tax returns in Australia, there's 2 key competitors that we really come across, which is H&R Block and eTax. Now, H&R Block is a bricks and mortar accountant. They've been around for a long time, obviously. They turn over $100 million and have a reasonable profit margin thereafter. But they're pretty wedded to their business model. They do have an online product, but they don't push it particularly hard. eTax, on the other hand, was born out of the government eTax back in the early 2000s, when the government transitioned to MyGov. And they've been able to build an excellent business of over $30 million revenue, making about 30% profit out of that revenue, and provide a reasonable service. We think with the value add that we have around our additional products and our direct linking into the ATO and how we surface information for our customers and guide them through a tax return, we have a better product. So we feel as though there's a good amount of market share we can get from both those companies, and then just the day-to-day bricks and mortar accountants dotted around the suburbs, the ITPs, and so on and so forth. What tax does give us is quite a lumpy revenue profile. So it's lumpy to the current quarter that we're in, so our July to September quarter, which is where we see most of our user acquisition on the platform. We want to smooth that out with both the lending and the financial services revenue streams as we build those out. So what we're seeing at the moment is a building ongoing stream of income coming from our mortgages product. And as we build out our financial services and we start charging a fee based on the amount of assets under management within that particular platform, we'll start to increase that annuity revenue coming from that as well. So we're quite, and when I say quite keen, we're very keen to build annuity revenue streams that really smooth out that cyclical nature of the tax product revenue. Jumping into the One-Click Verify platform, and Mark, I note that you've given me till 8:20 to present, but I'll probably go a couple of minutes after if that's okay. When we built out One-Click Life, we had to digitally verify our customers. Now, particularly connected into the ATO directly, it was something the ATO audited quite heavily and auditors on an annual basis to ensure that obviously the security of our technology solutions are adequate. And coming out of that, what the ATO advises is we had quite a sophisticated onboarding process through our digital identity verification. In speaking to a number of people in financial services, there seemed to be a niche in the market or a requirement there that wasn't currently being serviced. So what we've done is taken our digital identity verification into its own platform with CRM functionality and really an AML program in a box as such, which is something we needed for One-Click Life, as I mentioned. So we've been able to separate that into a separate platform. We've been able to generate quite a bit of interest out of that product at the moment, and a number of customers have signed up and commenced using it, and a number of transactions on that platform is growing on a month-to-month basis. So what it does is it's a secure platform with a full audit trail that tracks all the digital identity verification of your client set. For financial services, that's obviously something extremely important. It verifies their identity and then provides an AML and PEPs and sanctions check based on, I think it's 360 databases around the world. And what we found is the customers that are using the product are getting flags, and some are getting red flags as well in terms of their client set, which they weren't aware of before. So for their AUSTRAC reporting, obviously very important to provide those AML checks and understand exactly who their customer is in the Know Your Customer legislation. So the drivers for long-term growth in this One-Click Verify platform. First thing is we're very lucky in the industry tailwinds. I guess not so lucky from an Australian public perspective, but the data breaches at Latitude, Optus, Medibank and others are providing a real tailwind for us in that it's very front of mind for people and a topic of conversation as well. I think people have become a lot more aware of their security and identity management requirements on the back of those things. So for us, it's adding value is all about getting transactions into that system, right? So we charge on a transaction basis, anywhere from $3 to $5 per transaction. and we're just looking to continue to build and build and build the number of transactions on there per month. So we have signed a number of enterprise customers at the moment. We've integrated the platform with Xplan so that it's capable of being used very simply for financial planning businesses and small financial services businesses. And as we grow, we're looking to expand out those integrations into other CRMs and continuing to acquire customers. At a certain point in time, ideally, this product has the ability to operate cross-border. So we've designed it around being able to take in IDs from outside of Australia as well, and to work anywhere in the world. So we have some technology that allows people to be able to check the ID off a mobile phone onto a passport, basically, which will allow that. As we do that, we move into new verticals outside of just the financial services. And, you know, I think this particular platform has huge growth potential. We're, as I mentioned at the start of the presentation, we're right at the start of that journey, but a very exciting journey for us. So look, a little bit just about who we are and how we operate as a business. We're quite a small business, so we only have 15 staff. We swell up to about 20 people with a couple of casuals during tax time to help with demand of customer questions. But aside that, look, what we're looking to do is really change and reshape the industry that we're working in, right? So financial services, I don't see anyone out there that's trying to do what we're doing in terms of bringing that, you know, simple, low-cost ability for people to manage all their financial lives from their mobile phone in one spot. So that's something we're quite passionate about changing, and bringing that to all Australians, right? It's very hard for people, particularly sort of low and middle income people, to work out how to go see a mortgage broker, an accountant, a financial planner, an insurance broker, and try and do all that particularly from regional areas, but really from anywhere at the moment. So interestingly, most of our user acquisition, the revenue we generate, isn't necessarily during office hours. It's early in the morning or it's late at night, when people actually have time to sit down on their couch and consider their own financial lives, and jump on their mobile phone and start actually managing them. So, you know, a couple of things in how we operate is, you know, we always see that we can do it better, right? So that's in our own business. It's also in the industries we operate in. But yeah, every day and every week and every month, we just try and get 1% better and 1% better and 1% better all the time. And the cumulative and compounding effect of all those improvements is what's really driving a lot of the value in the business at the moment. We like to have fun doing working together and how we operate. And we don't bullshit each other, and we don't bullshit our customers either. And that's something that's really important in what we do, and important in the values that we have as a business. We're trying to keep this technology solution that we've got in more of a human form than a robot form. There is quite a bit of robo guidance and robo advice through the product, but we are trying to humanize that and keep it an easy, fun to use product as well. And we want to make an impact, right? We want to make an impact in Australia in terms of how we're presenting financial services in Australia. We each want to make an impact on the One Click Group in our business, and we want to make an impact socially as well. So I'll hand back over to you, Mark. I've tried to race through that and make sure I captured everything.
Yeah, no worries. We'll get in a few questions here. In terms of the health insurance, you know, offering, is that going to kind of follow the similar model as the mortgage broking one, where, you know, you're gathering in customers on behalf of, you know, HCF, Medibank, Bupa, whoever it is, and you know, you're just going to be getting a trail fee, or is it,
yeah,
you know, a
one? No, you're spot on there, Mark. So what we're doing really is we're gathering information and demand from our customer, and AIA is actually the provider of that insurance product. So once we get to a point, we hand that relationship over and AIA complete it, and we get a trail income out of that. And then, yeah, so in a similar way to the mortgages, as you mentioned.
And then can we just delve a bit into the revenue model on the next day refund, and just how that works, and does it generate more income for you rather than just doing a standard tax return? And is there a risk of, you know, giving the refund and then the ATO coming back and saying, no, you're not due $800, you're only due like $670? Maybe just talk around how it exactly works.
Yeah, sure, no worries. Yeah, so as I mentioned during the presentation, we charge $99 for a tax return. A next day refund tax return costs $207. So there's significantly more income for us. And the reason there's a difference there is we do an accountant review on each of the next day refund tax returns. So what that means is we have an accountant jump in, review that tax return, and also review a little bit about the tax history of that customer, and whether there's any child support or Centrelink income and those sort of things. So what we want to do is try not to pay those customers which we might see as a risk, where their refund might be garnished by child support, or alternatively where they've misstated some of their income or deductions or something like that. So we can be very certain of what the end result is, and that the ATO will finalise the tax return as we expect them to. So there is of course a risk of default on whenever you're advancing money. We manage that through that accounting process that I mentioned, so the account review process. We also pay the lesser of $1,000 as a next day refund, or 50% of the tax refund. So we try and balance a little bit of our risk across, you know, not paying the whole refund out to our customers.
And then if we just switch gears a bit over to one-click verify, the revenue model for that, is it going to be a pure SaaS play? You know, people are paying a license fee for the platform, or will it be, you know, a license fee plus, you know, a small clip to ticket charge on, you know, number of queries or number of customers that, you know, they have? Maybe just give us a sense of how that revenue model will look in 24 months time.
Yeah, sure. So there is two models. So there is so it is a SaaS-based piece of software. You can either pay an ongoing fee and a smaller transaction fee, or alternatively a higher transaction fee and just a transaction fee. So when I say a transaction fee, you mentioned the word inquiry. That's basically when we charge the transaction. So based on an inquiry of someone's identity, we'll then go through, and that'll trigger an event, and we'll charge a customer on that basis. So for us, like the key to value in that is just continue to build and build and build the amount of customers that we're contracting through that system, and then that'll build the amount of inquiries and transactions through the system.
Okay, perfect. Mark, I think we leave it there because we're just up on time, and I don't think we're going to have time to squeeze in another question. But yeah, thanks for coming back, or not coming. Well, you coming back. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for giving
Excellent. No, thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
The lie of the land of One Click Group. And yeah, when tax season settles down, maybe we can get you back in to give us an update on where things are at, because you've certainly got a good few different pieces of the business all happening simultaneously. So best of luck.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks, Mark. Cheers. We'll speak soon.